Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Silicon Labs product podcast. In this episode, we're going to help you understand why we believe that wireless switches for the smart home will be a huge growth product in 2021. The following conversation is part of our ongoing series that we've had over the few episodes covering the year ahead in 2021. Today, I'm joined by Sunthoshi Kothapalli. She's our product manager, and she's responsible for supporting customers who are developing wireless switch and shade products. Thanks for joining us today, Sunthoshi.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Kyle.
Well, this is your second podcast, so now you're a veteran. So I don't need to explain to you all the details about what we're going to do today. But the first thing that I've been doing in the series is just asking you the simple question: what do you see driving growth in these switch applications, in these shade applications?
Yeah, sure. So, Kyle, I think there are two factors that are interplaying with each other in terms of the growth market for home switches and home shades, and that's convenience and technology. So, with smart switches, it just makes your life way much easier. Like you get a smart switch, install it, and connect it with your smartphone or laptops, or even use it as your remotes. And start accessing them from wherever you are. It doesn't matter, you have to be at your home. And you can set different modes, different timers, different schedules. I think this convenience factor is playing a key role in terms of market growth and also, most importantly, the technology. Today, you get a lot of smart home switches in the market which do not require a hub. All you have to do is get a smart home switch, install it, connect it to your smartphone, and start using it. There are voice controlled home switches which you could integrate with your Alexa, Nest, or Apple HomeKit, and just could give them commands to switch on or switch off your lights. So think this technology factor combined with convenience is what fueling the growth for the home switches. And I would also like to highlight about the Wi-Fi home switches, which is again playing a key role in smart home automation.
Okay, so Wi-Fi switches. So this is new. You didn't bring this up the last time we spoke.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know about the convenience. I have switches in my home, but Wi-Fi switches is something new.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about what the demand you see as far as Wi-Fi?
Yes, absolutely. They're just like so much less expensive than their counterparts in the market. I mean, Kyle, you could today go to Amazon.com and get a Wi-Fi smart home switch that's $10 or $15. So it's and think about it, it's very ideal for a consumer who's in a very early stage of home automation. Like you don't want to spend hundreds of bucks on your home switches when you're still in an early stage of home automation and figuring out if all the setup would work for you. Most of the homes today have Wi-Fi networks, so you could just get those home switches, connect it to your local Wi-Fi home network, and connect them to your smartphone and start using it. And the other key factor why the Wi-Fi switches are great is because they do not require a hub. You do not need a hub or a gateway to use a Wi-Fi switch. All you need to do is just install them and connect them to your smartphones.
Yeah, I'm seeing more and more Wi-Fi products. I had a prior episode where we were talking about the low power of Wi-Fi and how that's definitely increasing the amount of products. But yeah, definitely seeing that as something. So that's great. So that's a new opportunity. It's also we're probably seeing a lot of customers talk to you about our Wi-Fi solutions.
Yeah, yes, I would like to highlight that as well. Another key factor is the low power consumption of these Wi-Fi switches. Right, again, it adds an additional factor of saving energy.
Sure, sure. Now, in our conversation we had before this episode, you talked to me about connected home over IP. It's been talked about a lot. And yeah, so how is that helping increase the adoption of wireless switches? I mean, from my knowledge alone, chip, I think it's still being defined, and I think it's going to be something that's probably driving products later in the year. What do you see? I mean, how is it driving switches?
Okay, sure, Kyle. So I'll just start with a small introduction about chip. So that's just helpful to our listeners who might not be aware of it. Project Connected Home over IP is a working group within the Zigbee Alliance, and their main motto is to develop and promote the adoption of a standard to increase the compatibility among the various smart home products that you might have, let it be home switches or your smart locks or your thermostats. So, and the key factor here to be considered is this is being backed up by key ecosystem providers and market leaders such as Amazon, Google, and Apple. And so, think you might have got the idea by now that when it's been backed up with such market leaders, it seems like this is going to be the future of home automation, where you connect all your smart home products together. And the smart home product manufacturers, such as home switch manufacturers, have realized that this is what is going to be in the future. And what we see is very interesting in the market right now. There is kind of a race between these manufacturers to make sure that the product that they are building today is compatible with chip, no matter even though if it's far ahead in the future. They want to make sure that once chip is available in the market, their products are compatible with it. So when one of the manufacturers start using it and they start giving demos of their products with chip, there is kind of this competitive pressure among the others as well to get into that race. And that's a very interesting dynamic to see.
Okay, so they're really working on making sure that they have the ability to do updates in the future.
Yes, yeah.
So to your point, they can once they're capable of demonstrating it, products in the field could potentially be updated. So they can talk to their customers and say, hey, this is updatable. So you can invest now, and 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 we'll provide you with increased features in the future. Okay. That's great. What other features are you seeing in switches that are driving demand and new design starts? You mentioned that chip and the standard is causing people to redesign switches. What's another like change in switches that you see that's driving customers to build new switches?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Kyle. I think you would definitely agree with me on this one. I think the key pain point for a homeowner today with a smart home switch is the neutral wire. You know, because of the neutral wire requirement, uh, installing a smart home switch becomes a very tedious process, and often you require an electrician to come up and help you up in fixing that light.
I can attest to that. I took that upon myself with my wireless switches that I have in my house, and that neutral wire, it's like magic. You need to really fully understand electrical wiring in order to get it to properly install. So what are they doing to fix that problem so I can install wireless switches quicker?
Yes. So think the key there is a neutralist solution. Today, we do have a few solutions in the market which do not require a neutral wire, but they are very few and they aren't efficient as the one that would require a neutral wire. So we Silicon Labs are like very much focused on coming up with a neutralist power solution, especially for the Wi-Fi switches, to make sure that you know uh, the process of installing a home switch becomes much more easier for the home consumer.
Okay. And so are those, you said there's a few solutions today and that there's, you just see a lot more, the direction of the market is to provide these neutralist switches.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a few solutions in the market, but then again, as I said, Wi-Fi is the kind of leading the market in terms of home switches. So coming up with a solution, with a neutralist solution for Wi-Fi switches, is going to be the key.
All right. Well, you've given the listeners a lot of new things that are happening that are affecting these, switch products. But can you maybe just spend the last few minutes talking about what do you suggest to these customers when they come to you and they're asking for Silicon Labs solutions for these requirements that they're having. What can you tell our listeners Silicon Labs has to solve these things you've brought up?
Absolutely. If you talk in terms of Wi-Fi, Kyle, today we have market-leading products, especially low power and ultra low power Wi-Fi products with our Redpine acquisition. I mean, they are market leading products. So we see a lot of interest within our current customers as well in our Wi-Fi products. So that's something very exciting and where Silicon Labs is focused on over the next couple of years. And in terms of switch, we are part of the Zigbee working group, and we are leading the market and for the chip uh, adoption. So there are a lot of customers that we are currently talking to and driving it further.
All right. So that's great. So we're very involved. We have solutions in both the chip and the Wi-Fi applications.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, we are also trying to collaborate with our customers for the neutralized solution.
All right. Well, thanks, Sunthoshi. You did a great job. And I know that our listeners learned a ton from the information that you shared. Can I have you come back with us in the future for another episode?
Oh, for sure. That would be my pleasure. Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Well, I'd also like to thank all of our listeners for taking the time to download and listen to this episode. We hope you join us for future episodes. Until then, everyone, please stay safe.